Tonight on KVR News, gun violence takes a toll across the nation.
UT students protest gun privileges on campus.
And how the topic of racism affects the younger generation.
All this and more coming up on KVR News, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KVR News at 9, Austin's leader for live local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to KVR News for Monday, October 5th. I'm Maribel Santiago.
And I'm Cortland Cole. Thank you for joining us.
A shooting at Oregon's Umpqua Community College leaves 10 people dead and 7 others injured. The incident struck the nation as updates on the case were occurring. President Barack Obama spoke on the shooting, saying how it's become a routine to do this. A wounded student told their father that the shooter, Chris Harper Mercer, specifically targeted Christians. With the news of the shooting, Obama has expressed frustration behind the changes to gun laws and how the political system has failed to prevent attacks like this from happening.
In Tulsa, California, 4 high school students were arrested for plotting to attack their school. Students on campus heard the attempted shooters discussing the impending attack and reported it to school officials. The school contacted the sheriff's office, who then found detailed evidence of the plan. The 4 students were in the final phase of buying weapons after specifying locations, methods, and would-be victims. The sheriff cited cyberbullying as a possible reason for the students' attack, as well as a blurred line between reality and fiction.
As these gun-related cases are happening around the country, UT is having its own debate about whether guns should be allowed on campus.
The Texas law allows concealed handgun license holders to carry their weapons inside buildings and classrooms in all Texas public universities. Our Cassie Pollock shows us how students are reacting to the new law.
The University of Texas here in Austin has been the epicenter of campus carry conversation, already having 2 public forums and a series of protests taking place. Following the first of 2 public forums on September 30th, a gun-free protest took place on the main mall of campus on October 1st, accompanied by a simultaneous counter-protest. After this series of events, students at the university are beginning to express their opinions on the new law.
Leaving things up to individual discretion to when and where someone can use their gun, that's interesting.
In my opinion, it kind of freaks me out, just knowing that now people can have them.
Ralliers at the protest on October 1st, opposed to campus carry, wore orange shirts and advocated for a completely gun-free UT while citing the dangers that guns on campus will bring. Tanner Long, UT Student Government Speaker of the Assembly, spoke at the public forum and believes the majority of the UT body to be opposed to campus carry.
It's just a matter of trying to appease those on campus and also trying to make sure you're not offending the legislators who very well could come back and, retool the law.
Earlier today, in the UT ballroom right behind me, the second public forum on campus carry was held. The working group, tasked by President Fenves at the beginning of the semester, will take testimony from both public forums into consideration when determining the university's course of action. We can expect recommendations to be announced in upcoming weeks. Cassie Pollock, KVR News.
At least 10 patients and 12 staff members of Doctors Without Borders have been killed by a U.S. airstrike that hit a hospital in Kunduz, Afghanistan. This destroyed the only hospital with free trauma treatment in the region, leaving northern Afghanistan with little medical care. The airstrikes were meant to target the Taliban, which had recently taken control of the city's doctors. Without Borders has called the airstrikes a war crime. While President Obama has expressed his condolences, he will wait for an investigation from the U.S. Defense Department before making a final judgment. Stand-up comedian and current CNN correspondent W.K. Bell recently gave a presentation titled Ending Racism in About an Hour. Bell focused on popular social and political issues such as Black Lives Matter while explaining the prevalence of racism. He ended by focusing on his 2 young daughters, Juno and Sammy, and how he plans on explaining racism to them.
But when I grew up, I sort of thought that was a thing that was in the past. And I know now that it wasn't in the past. It just sort of, it kept moving and it kept going. But I'm glad to know that my daughter's being raised in this time, that we can sort of have these conversations and that they're happening out loud.
Noise complaints caused by ACL Festival have decreased 6 times as much as last year's amount. The ears of Austin can thank the new technology for that. The City and Austin Police Department brought in 3 noise monitors to help the ACL organizers maintain an enjoyable noise level without disturbing residents near Zilker. Another factor working in the city's favor is the weather last year's winds carried it farther than ever before. The festival reaches 85 decibels. They must turn it down, however. This year, ACL has only reached 79 decibels so far.
Como County prepared its residents for a mock plague outbreak. County's Emergency Preparedness Coordinator, Chris Washington, created the scenario. The county wanted to see how its residents would react in an emergency situation like this. Parts of the city were shut down in efforts to get the simulation as real as possible. And flu season has arrived. The Texas Department of State Health Services encourages everyone to receive the flu vaccine. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the flu vaccine was associated with a 71% reduction in flu-related hospitalizations among adults of all ages. UT offers flu shots on campus until Thursday, October 22nd. This week, the vaccine will be offered on Tuesday at the Gregory James Room, Wednesday at the Student Services Building, and Thursday at the Town Hall Atrium. The University Health Services will file insurance claims for most types of insurance, but faculty and students may choose to receive the shot for a $10 fee with their UT EID.
Still to come, why reading will be more costly for some residents.
And why tuition fees are expected to rise.
You're watching KVR News.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
If you live outside the city of Austin and want to get a library card, you might have to pay up a huge fee. Starting this month, anyone that lives outside of Austin city limits will be charged a $120 fee to renew or purchase a library card. The increase is due to an expired state grant, and it's the first time in 7 years out-of-city residents will have a fee to use any Austin library. The new fee is expected to affect about 29,000 members outside of the city. An increase in tuition within the UT system could be underway. The UT System Board of Regents approved to propose an increase in tuition for the 2017 and 2018 fiscal year. Officials say the increase is needed since inflation is making it difficult for schools to keep up with costs and competitive job markets. The proposals could increase tuition by 2%. The UT Board of Regents plans on making its final votes next February, meaning any potential proposals could go into effect as early as next school year.
People, the Yelp app for humans, took off last week as it sparked controversy when announced as a way to rate individuals. However, the website and social media pages for the app have been taken down, making some speculate People was a hoax. A founder of People, Julia Cardre, recently explained to BBC News that People is set to debut in November 2015, and negative comments made about individuals will no longer be a part of the app. Condre added that People's mission was to create the world's largest positivity app.
Bluebell ice cream is back like never before. After the listeria contamination the ice cream business faced, they have slowly began to reopen their plants, including their main plant in Brenham. The company says business is doing unbelievably well despite selling only 5 out of 30 flavors. When asked, officials say that sales of the 5 flavors now are doing as well as the total sale of all 30 flavors before the shutdown.
If you're a barbecue fan, chances are you've stood in line for Franklin's. The local's favorite is notorious for its long lines with customers waiting hours on end just to enter the door. Franklin announced a new rule in an attempt to regulate the lengthy service time. The restaurant has banned professional line standers and order takers as means to provide everyone with the same unique experience. The business prefers to serve all of their customers inside the restaurant to control the representation of the brand and the food. South Dakota is set to launch the nation's first marijuana resort on the Santee Show Reservation by the end of 2015. Early this year, the Justice Department made it legal for Indian tribes to grow and sell their own weed. The tribes now have the same rights as those states who have already legalized it. Nightclubs, slot machines, and an outside venue will be created for entertainment. But buyers have to keep all marijuana on the reservation. They're estimating $2 million a month in profit and an increase in tourist revenue.
The infamous West Texas checkpoint that caught numerous pot-carrying celebrities is no longer busting anyone for marijuana possession. The Sierra Blanca Border Patrol checkpoint is known for stopping pot smokers, most notably Willie Nelson in 2010, actor Armie Hammer, singer Fiona Apple, and rapper Snoop Dogg. Located in Hudspeth County, Sheriff Arvin West said he will no longer take checkpoint cases. The change is due to the county's recent loss of federal criminal justice grants, making the resources that the checkpoint requires unaffordable. Hurricane Joaquin, a Category 4 storm that ravaged through the Bahamas and just barely missed the U.S. mainland, has caused extensive flooding and damage in its path. South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley said there are areas that still haven't been reached, adding that the state has never seen this level of flooding before. The damage of the storm has left 5 people dead and a missing cargo ship. The U.S. Coast Guard has only discovered debris since the El Fargo ship was reported missing, with reports of survival suits and lifeboats. The Coast Guard's main focus is to look for survivors rather than the vessel.
Well, our thoughts are with those in South Carolina. This weekend brought a nice weather October breeze here in Texas. Hopefully that means we can expect chilly temperatures while walking to class this week.
Yes, let's keep our fingers crossed on those chances. Our Katie Keenan is live in the studio with our weather forecast. Will we be expecting a drop in temperature this week, Katie?
Well, let's just say that we can expect some sweater weather this week, and you might need to keep an umbrella handy. I'll have more on this after the break.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News Tip Line, 475-8181.
Welcome back to KVR News. ACL Weekend 1 had great weather with sunshine and a nice breeze. Weekend 2 might require a little prep for some rain. The weather will be warming up in the next 2 days though. On Tuesday, we're looking at mostly sunny skies with highs in the low 90s and lows in the high 60s. These temperatures continue on into Wednesday. Which is also looking sunny. It looks like overnight temperatures will remain in the high 60s for the rest of the week. Starting Thursday, temperatures drop to the low 80s, and there's a 30% chance of thunderstorms. Thursday night and Friday morning will be mostly cloudy, and if you're headed to ACL this weekend, don't forget to bring your umbrella. There's a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms from Thursday to Friday night. Temperatures will most likely remain in the low 80s for the better part of the weekend, and the chance of rain may decrease Saturday to 20%. By Sunday morning, temperatures will have increased, with highs near 87. It also looks like the ozone will impact the air quality for the next few days, so you may want to skip that morning jog or afternoon walk until the ozone levels stabilize. Live in the Weather Center, Katie Keenan, back to you.
Thanks, Katie.
College Press Box's Brianna Yotitis will be in the studio to talk Longhorn sports after the break. Stay tuned.
Now, KVR News at 9 Sports.
Welcome back to KVR News. This weekend, the Longhorns lost to the TCU Horned Frogs 50-7. The game was so unbalanced that social media during the loss became way more relevant. Freshman cornerback Chris Boyd was the center of this during halftime. Boyd's Twitter account retweeted an A&M fan. The tweet that said, "Whenever y'all are ready to transfer, we're ready," mentioning him and freshman linebacker Malik Jefferson. Boyd has since apologized for the tweet, saying, "In no way did I intend to be disrespectful or disloyal. I'm 100% committed to this team and program," in a statement released yesterday. In today's press conference, junior safety Dylan Haynes told the media he felt like the younger players weren't putting in enough effort. His teammates weren't too happy about these comments and took to Twitter to voice their opinions. One of these freshmen, receiver DeAndre McNeil, posted a photo that said, "Us freshmen are go-getters, and we don't accept mediocre. We are here to pull Texas out the drought, so you can either get with it or get lost."
Thanks, Brianna. So, what do you think about the Longhorns this past game? Do you think they're going to pick up this weekend during Texas OU, or just going to...
Hopefully. That is the hope. I mean, after such an embarrassing loss like last week, the program has to do something about this. And I think in the past, for some reason, during this Texas-Oklahoma game, Texas seems to show out more than they have despite their record. So I think that I have hope for this game. I have hope for this week.
I absolutely hope so too. Well, yeah, all right. Thanks, Brianna. Cassandra Jaramillo, is live in the studio with your entertainment news. Cassandra, what's the latest for celeb news?
Thanks, Maribel. Well, SNL is back for its 41st season. Demi Lovato reveals some skin for her new album, and Amber Rose stands up for women's rights. I'll have more on this after the break.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. I'm Cassandra Jaramillo. Well, SNL kicked off their 41st season this past weekend with host and musical guest Miley Cyrus. Cyrus opened the show with a musical monologue, married cast member Kyle Mooney, and rapped in a Grease-inspired dance number. But perhaps her biggest moment of the night was when Miley broke down in tears during the performance of a song dedicated to the pets she recently lost, called the Twinkle Song. Miley wasn't the only guest for the season premiere. Presidential candidate Hillary Clinton joined the SNL cast as a bartender named Val. Clinton appearing alongside Saturday Night Live star Kate McKinnon, who was impersonating the former Secretary of State as she runs her campaign trail. Daryl Hammond as Bill Clinton also had a few lines in the sketch, but his cameo was upstaged by Hillary's spot-on impression of Donald Trump. And Demi Lovato is the newest musician stripping down for their album cover in an exclusive interview with Vanity Fair. The singer spontaneously decided to pose nude and makeup-free for a photo shoot. Demi says the decision came from a need to truly embrace the meaning of her new album titled Confident by letting go and being authentic. The album is set to debut on October 16th. And hundreds of men and women adorned the streets of Los Angeles in support of this year's Slut Walk. Amber Rose, a former stripper and advocate against slut-shaming, led the event after facing years of criticism due to her job choice. The Slut Walk tradition began in 2011 when a police officer at Canada's York University stated that women should avoid dressing like sluts in order to not be victimized. This remark led to outrage and protests, which eventually came to be identified as slut walks. The message that these walks portray is the freedom of women to dress how they want without being blamed for sexual violence they may encounter. Rose's leading role for the 2015 Slut Walk has sparked controversy, though, on whether or not the issue is being addressed correctly. Well, that's all your entertainment news for tonight. Follow us on KVR News ENT for updates throughout the week.
Thanks, Cassandra. I'm Maribel Santiago. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And I'm Cortland Cole. For news and weather updates throughout the week, you can follow us on Twitter at KVR News.
Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television. Have a great night.